it sort of changed the whole dynamics in the family, I have to say, just us going away to college, and coming back with, wild and sometimes unacceptable ideas. But, I think that being the oldest and sort of always being the first one to do something in a very large family made me comfortable enough to take on, leadership positions in healthcare and in the hospital, and sort of led to all that program development I was so fortunate to be involved with. But the one thing, my poor mom, she never really understood what I did. And when I would come home for a visit, because I moved to Chicago for college and graduate school, and I actually really never came back to St. Louis other than for visits. And she would always like, well, what exactly is it that you do? She could understand the doctors. My dad was one. She could understand the nurses at the bedside. She'd been in the hospital, but she couldn't fathom what I was doing all day long, or how excited I was about it. She'd look at me quizzically and, what is it that you do? Try to explain being an administrator. That, because when you start talking about it, it sounds also unimportant and sort of routine. But I loved it, so it worked for me. But yeah, she could never really fathom it. It wasn't house and home and children,
Yeah.
So
I think, I was going to share a similar story is that becoming a teacher was wonderful. Parents thought that was great. And then moving into administration, that was sort of okay. And then being the dean for the Chinatown North Beach campus, that was wonderful, because she could actually see that we were enrolling students, that we were offering classes that helped people. But when I moved into the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs position, I think my mother hasn't forgiven me yet, because she goes, what do you do every day? What do you how are you helping people? You're so far away, you don't see students. And I think she just didn't get that part of the job. But what was interesting is my former supervisor shared a similar story, that when she was at Chinatown, mom was so proud, really understood the job. But when she moved on to be vice president of instruction and then vice chancellor of academic affairs, her mom had a similar reaction. It's like, what is it that you do? I can't tell my friends what you do anymore.
Yeah, so I was just tell them I'm a nurse, mom. That's fine. In our generation, obviously, being a nurse or a teacher was very acceptable. One of the few acceptable jobs, that they could all understand. And I was telling you earlier, and it comes to mind again now, that I, given that seemed to be a safe choice, for us back then. I so admire the women that were older than me that I've worked with or raised money with mostly, who went to college, in the 30s and 40s. And it's like, what trailblazers they were, because, that was, they had to really go against the grain. I mean, not only, what are you doing, but why are you doing it? You're married, you could have, this nice house, blah, blah, blah. Why are you spending time at that school? And I've always admired them. I think that they were real trailblazers and paved the way for us, as hopefully we've paved the way for many, many other careers for the women that, came after.